Hi, YouTube. How are you doing? I'm doing okay, not too bad. I just got done with my exercises. I actually slept in this morning while I had been up and went back and laid back down. So, yeah, that was nice for a change. When you get older, or what even I think the hardest part of my life might have been from in between around 30 and 40. Those were some extremely difficult years, sleepless years, when my kids were kind of still kind of young, you know, very young actually. Yeah, those were some hard years, so I'm pretty grateful for. Even I started working when I was a kid, getting up and doing paper routes, and I was told, Doug was told the same thing. Um, Once you start working, you're never going to quit. And our parents wanted to make sure we knew what we were doing. We didn't know what we were doing. you know, no, we just wanted money to buy either school clothes or, something special, or to go to the movies or roller skating or whatever we did, skiing, whatever, to be able to have the money to go and do the things we wanted to do. I didn't have to really pay for skiing. I had my own skis, cross country and downhill, but two different sets. But um, yeah, they were used. I mean, nothing fancy, just a lot of like my sports equipment. We had just like everything, but it wasn't all brand new stuff. It's like we worked hard and tried to save our money and that type of thing. We still do, you know. How's that going for everybody? Not too good. You get a little bit saved up and the government smashes it. That's it's a pattern that they have. So just kind of winging it today. I'm not sure if I have a topic or not. Kind of I do. It's about the churches and synagogues, whatnot, world leaders. I'll get to that after a while. It's just stuff that's been on my mind. I was trying to watch a live stream last night, and Lady Babylon, and so the chat's going, and but it never comes up and shows that it started. And that happened once before. I thought he was awfully late. I thought, wow, they're running behind here today or something. But it did that two different times. I'm not sure if it was because of the weather around me. We had oh rain, a lot of rain lately this summer. It's been awful wet. So I mean awful. Like Doug was out working, changing a tire on a truck yesterday. Started raining on him, and then he tried to work through the rain too. I don't know. That's difficult. That's dangerous too. So anyway, it could have been the weather. I'm not sure what it was, but it was a bummer. You know, like I don't know. It's the second time within a month that has happened to me. Last time I got through right away and the live stream came up and everything was fine, but I don't know. So what I've been thinking is, I follow people of different nationalities and heritages, religions, whatever. I've studied them all, and I can see the um, good aspects in just about everybody's thoughts. I believe that most human beings really are, you know, it's like they have things in common, like the Israelites and the Native Americans both had uh, people warring with them either over land or religious aspects or different things, and I'm thinking about the commonalities in people around the world, maybe even happening at similar times, maybe, or not, But just thinking about the way people look at other people in the world, um, being raised by a Jewish man, and actually, I was for myself a part of a Lutheran church, which is, um, it's a little bit different, but it really is a Zionist aspect of Judaism. And and then going to Catholic girls' school. I mean, but not just that. I studied Buddhism. I read the Quran, or Quran, however you want to say it. Different. Um, who does what where? Has always interested me. But the one thing that I see that's in common with all these people that have these religious groups is they see that they have maybe like a upper hand or the right ideal or whatever towards other people. Um, which to me almost goes I mean, okay, I'm going to pick on the Christians here. So go ahead and feel free to pick on me right back. I don't care. I told somebody they weren't welcome here because of the idiocy about the whole thing. Oh, and I'm going to touch on something. I added an extra syllable on something yesterday, and some of us do that. But do you ever notice, like, you'll have a Harvard scholar? I'm not going to name names, but this guy says nonsensical. Nonsense. Does that make more nonsense more potent? I mean, is it a bigger nonsense because we add the soul on the end of it? You know, like if I'm hyperactive, would I be hyperactive? So, able, hyperactable. Yeah, that would be way more hyper than just hyperactive, I imagine, from the way the English language has evolved. But really, nonsense is just nonsense. Nonsensical, does that just make it more nonsense? I don't know. I was just thinking about words and the way people use them, and I was going to bring that up the other day, and then I went and did the same thing yesterday on one of my words. I added something. I thought, okay, I hope people just don't see how stupid that actually was, because it was. But it comes out of us. So maybe, maybe that's what this other person was doing and I was laughing about it because and telepathically somebody else was laughing about that at the same time on a clip we were watching because um, being scholars of language, this guy is a biblical scholar, a Hebrew scholar that knows like basic Greek, but not ancient Greek. But it was funny and surprising, and then I went and did the same thing. But I'm not trying to make money off of people. If he's out there and he actually has like Patreons or whether he has a website or whatever, I don't know. But to actually expect to be paid for, um, I won't say little knowledge, but limited, limited, Yeah. Back to the churches like the Crusades, and then I'll just go with the Israelites for a minute. Um, Going into people's lands and killing them, and that's your promised land. Yeah, they did the same thing to the natives. Don't you see what I'm saying about these people that think they have risen above something and they're being guided by things that you or I would not accept in our lives if somebody came into our area and said, "This is now mine." I don't, I'm not going to say I don't care about the wars. I'm going to say I'll never understand these because there's enough of everything on the world for everybody. So what? But I don't understand the people that will participate in that mindset. I and keep it going and nurture it. That's the part I don't understand. And that's with Christians too, in a native country. And then now I heard white people calling themselves Native Americans, and somebody else had said that. How insulting can you get to the Aboriginal people and the indigenous in United States? I mean, that's about as demeaning as you can get. But I guess you have never had a best friend that was native, so you wouldn't fucking care about them, you know, or a person I considered grandma, um, cousins of mine and their grandmother that showed me what quilting was all about and crocheting and some other things. But how fucking insulting to those people. I hope I never hear that again. And why is it that it's coming out of purely Caucasian mouths? Why is that? And I'm speaking to everybody because if you had the amount of heritages in you like I do, you'd be able to speak from everybody's aspect. You would really actually feel it within yourself. And we all should feel connected like that anyway, so I really don't understand. I'll never understand it. Coming into people's countries, presuming that God told you that this was the way to go, whether it caused lives or not, and still perpetuating that ideal for yourselves like it's some kind of acceptable thing in the eyes of God. I'll never believe that. I'm going to die thinking that these people are cold, calculating, and driven by the dark force, and I will die thinking that. That's when I started my crusade towards all this because it is orchestrated. There is not one major religion that is not touched by the dark cabal. Believe what you will. I don't care anymore what people think. They're not educated enough to even speak in the same league that I am in, and I'm sticking to it. I almost said a curse word there at you, but instead I'll say cheers to the ones who feel like I do too. So that's what's on my mind today, like quite often, very often. I'm not going to say that the spirit of God doesn't work through people and it's not there at all. I'm just saying that the spirit of God, if it isn't working in people, the other one is, and that's worldwide, and nobody is. If if a Hebrew person thought a Native American person was lesser than in the eyes of God than anybody else, or that the Native American would need Christian or Hebrew or whatever guidance to be closer to our Father or Mother, um, that's where I'm at with all that. It's sickening. It's really repulsive to me, you know. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I can't stand it, you know. Is that enough passion for you? Yeah. I almost started crying. If you've seen the stuff I've seen, people, the way they're treated, and just with that, calling Caucasians natives, it's sickening, you know? It's like calling the people from India Indians. Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to do a little more research. What came first, the tannish brown ones or the red? What came first, the chicken or the egg, you know? And are there any lost tribes in the Native Americans that are actually Hebrew? Does anybody know? Yeah, some of us do, actually. And not all Native Americans are from the same vein, although we all are ultimately, and that's my point, you know. I think some of us, most people in the world, I would say, if they search deep enough, they're going to come to the same conclusion, you know. But maybe not. Maybe I'm entirely wrong. Maybe people are so twisted that they just don't see what justice is for everybody. You know, I don't know. So, yeah. Sometimes, and you'll have to pardon me if you're new here. A lot of you know if I get upset, instead of crying, I'll probably swear, you know. But because I've cried enough, you know. But if I do get that angry, I hope people don't try to pull that out of me, because it's really a nasty tactic to ignore facts and proof that people put before you, actually reading the facts and the texts and when they were written or not, and how it was done, and um, have it disputed by somebody that doesn't have an education, you know, to speak of. So, there really are weirdos out there like Doug or I, or, you know, people like that, that read full sets of encyclopedias and world books and the dictionary. Sit down, take a Webster dictionary, like a 1920s dictionary, and read every definition of every word and where they go off to, what is like the adjective, and uh where did the word come from, the etymology and all that. And it would take you a very long time, which it does, but that's what it takes to understand um, language in general. And every single language on the planet is represented in that book. Not all dictionaries are created equal either, you know. I'm a little iffy about using Britannica, but once in a while I will. But yeah. We all know it's just like Wikipedia. You can go on there and you know that there's dark cabal influenced articles that they present as facts that is not true, you know. I've been waiting for, and I noticed like Robert Seifer, for instance, is an anthropologist, and he's been dealing with the um, South American Native Americans, um, and their migration or extinction. And I'm hoping he doesn't touch on the Plains Indians and the like the Cree and the Mohawk and the Sioux. If he monkeys with the Ojibwe or the Cheyenne or the Chip or not Chippewa, that's Ojibwe. Um, uh, mm, just a minute. Oh well, anyway, some of the Plains Indians and going up in the mountains like the Blackfeet and Crow and whatever, um, he probably isn't going to understand the entanglement of African and colonial influence in all that. And it's said that the tribes were warring with each other. It's more bullshit that has been misrepresented. And so I'm hoping, oh, just don't touch on that because I'm going to have to say something and put him in his place, and then I'll call in the people that know better, the actual people that were their blood related to the situations that happened to them. So I'm hoping just don't touch on that because I'm not going to be quiet about it. What I know, what I actually know, so from living, well, my native name is Kiko Pashita. It's a symbol of the corn within a tree. It's a tree of life. I grow things. That's me. Well, anyway, so yeah, I'm not gonna sit still and be quiet about it. But then on the other hand, like I've told people, I've got French, English, German, Danish, Dutch, Polynesian, Irish, Black Irish, Scottish, uh, two types of Algonquin. It's just like, and more, and more. Just lots of um, nationalities. So, yeah, anyway, lots of different bloodlines. There's more. I just can't rattle them all off like that. I have to sit and I've got a list from both parents. It's like, wow. Because I was raised by um, the Dark Cabal. I was raised by a Jesuit, and my adopted mom was Eastern Star. My dad was a 3 times over um, Grand Master Mason, Jesuit with Shriner's rights and Scottish rite. So kind of had access to some libraries that other people didn't have, you know. So I know the intentions of the organized religions, what they're intended for, and it's not for the people really, for their people. Do you know that all these, like, say if you're just a Mason or a Freemason, whichever, because it's two different situations, that you're actually promised, like, they pay their dues. They have to pay dues, and the they e- even have their own uh, newspaper. It's called the Trestle Board or Trestle Board, however you want to say it. That goes out monthly with all the activities of the lodges, um, whether no matter the part of the world that it's in or whatever. but these people pay their dues, and so they're actually promised like to be millionaires. They actually, each of them are very wealthy within these organizations, but I'm pretty sure they actually, and yeah, they usually get the good jobs, and they're within their like communities and governments and school systems and whatever. They get the good stuff where the rest of the people in the world really aren't connected to have that opportunity, or if they do get in there, um if they're any kind of opposition, you won't last long because you'll be ousted in some way if you don't um bow to their whims of their mode of thinking. Then you're the odd man out, and they will say and do whatever they can constantly until they get their way with you, which is you out of their sight. Is usually what happens if you can't deal with it. So, but I divorced the Masons, is what I call it. I got emancipated by my state, and when I was a kid, had a job and a place to live, and proved that I can make it on my own because I just could not deal with the way they were inside inside their brains, and their hearts were lacking in areas that I just didn't want to be associated with. So, so at that point, I gave up my inheritance and hit the road. And they have had in the past. My dad's dead now, but my mom's like 91, but not my birth mom. I met her when I was in my 30s. But yeah, anyway, the best influence I had in some ways was my dad's drive, my adopted dad's drive for learning. And when I see that lack of wanting to learn in people, it kind of drives me crazy because I was always pushed to excel in them areas, you know, whatever it was, whatever I was doing. So, even mechanical, whatever, you know. So, so when I see somebody kind of actually even just coming against me when I know better about something and what is happening to the people in the world by their controllers, and then they're opposing me when I'm trying to help everybody. The only thing that's actually happening is they're um, making it so other people don't have access to the information that would help them and their families in the future, and that has a tendency to really piss me off. And there's not many people that would walk away from. I had offered to buy me my own island just so I would stick around and suck up to the bullshit. How many people would give up an inheritance and anything you actually wanted in the world for other people? Would you do that? I could call right now and still get whatever I wanted at any time, but I refuse to do that. I make my own way in the world. I don't have to be part of an organization that hurts other people and ignore what the facts of justice on this planet is for everybody, not just one sect or whatever they want to call themselves. No. So I'm not saying that there aren't any Masons or Shriners. Now, the Scottish Rite, that's a whole nother thing. If you know what that rite is, and then you'll understand a lot of my anger towards those people. But things they do to children and whatever. But yeah. But I'm not. I think there are some that go into everything kind of well-meaning, but it doesn't end up that way because once you're in a situation where you think you have it over any other human, you already lost in that respect, you know. Now, if you work hard to develop your mind for humans and somebody's opposing what you know to be true, well, you have every right to fight back, and you are right in that fight. That's justice for everybody. That's what my country was based on, wasn't it? Liberty and justice for all. Isn't that us? Excuse me a moment. I have a little bit of allergies today. Um, every day. But it's yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we gotta fight with this stuff for the next generation. Who's actually gonna help them? But if you're out there like these Christians, like my God's better than your God, you know, and it's the same all over the world. What and who are you? I mean, I understand groups, I understand heritage, I understand traditions and that type of thing and how important those things are to a culture. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the actual omitting the fact of the people actually being created equal and that we're all animals in that respect with a soul, with the connection to the Almighty, our Father. You know, we all have that connection. Um, yeah. I think that's where a lot of people are at with religion. We want to have it. We want to have that community. But how can we when people are running around actually thinking that they have, like people telling me, I hope God has mercy on your soul because I'm talking about a ancient church that went into areas killing people to push their taxes and conformity on other people, and the people that are telling me this, wishing me well and thank you again, liar, um, that it's going to benefit humankind in any way for you to have that type of mindset with other people. You know, it's like now if you're beating up like a child or harming, you know, weaker people in any way or something, I'm probably gonna think, well, I don't hope God has mercy on your soul, you know, because that's a heinous thing. But to bring education to people in ways that they actually are ignorant of, not taking God out of the picture at all at any time, just shows how truly brain dead and soulless and heartless people actually are, that they're going to use their religion as a pedestal, like they're above somebody else because they have this organization and this group that they're a part of that is all ran by the dark cabal, and you refuse to acknowledge that. You just don't care that they have taken everything that was sacred and twisted it for their benefit and your um um it's distancing people from our Father. It's not endearing you to him or other people. Don't you see that? I think some of us are actually waking up to that fact, or did a very long time ago. Only thing I was hoping for was other people on that same level that actually, whether it be a native or a Christian or a Hebrew, whoever we are, that we could come together and say, yeah, these elders just don't get it. This generation that grew up in between there and now didn't have the love and the concern for other human beings. They said they did, but their actions speak different. And there's still wars going on, and people just don't seem to get it. But once again, back to the white people calling yourself native. I'm going to swear here. If you can't deal with that, you need to click off right now. I'm going to give you the count of three for what I feel about white people calling themselves native in America. One, two, three. Shut the fuck up, dildo. Is that good? Okay. Yeah, I think I made my point there. So that's what's on my mind today. So anyway, besides that, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, you know, and it truly is. I feed outside kitties. I actually took our carport, and we have a shop too, but I took our carport and turned it into a kitty house so they won't be freezing out there in the wintertime. I live in the northern hemisphere with sub-zero and feet of snow, and so I was really happy this morning, one that I hadn't seen for a while. She's all black and she's got six toes on one hand, polydactyl. Some of them out there are from that. I call them puffkins or puffkins. They're real unique. Some have bobtails and others they're just really cool. I love animals, period. So, but anyway, one I call Puma came back home and she's been gone for about a month. So, um, I've yet my one I called Nellie that I had brought in and fixed her broken shoulder, leg, whatever. She's been gone for over a week now. I think it's about 9 days. And the one I call Yeti, well, he's a Tommy. It's kind of expected that he's gone for a few months and then he'll show back up. So anyway, that's what's on my heart and my mind today is the people that really want to come together as people in this world and have respect for each other's cultures and beliefs and still can share those connections that we have from migration and language and spirituality and see how they're all intertwined. Those are the people I'm trying to get closer to. Everybody else, you're being led by darkness, and you can pretend you're not, and you can sit there and act like your Zionist evangelist made up religion. And yes, all religions technically are, you know, whatever your spirituality is, should never include taking another human's life or putting yourself above them in any way. So, I mean, if you're an elder and you have some knowledge, like you're going to drop some knowledge on some people, yeah, we have that right. We worked hard to be put in that position of actually caring about other human beings If you're wholeheartedly solid like that, then by all means keep talking, big time. So, well, I'm going to leave it here for today. If you're new here, I love you. I love everybody. I appreciate you being here so much. The more we can actually share um, the pieces that we're putting together for each other, whether or not the dark force wants us to do that. More power to y'all. Have a beautiful weekend. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. I'll talk to you tomorrow, probably.